Unfortunately, a continuing conversation, I think. Joining us now is Republican Congressman from California, Darrell Issa, whom we just heard in that press conference. Congressman, I hope you heard the back and forth just a moment or two ago.
I did.
We were a little skeptical of your views. Don't take it personally. I've always believed as a lawyer that the best position was rebuttal, making that counter-argument. So explain to us. You've heard the skepticism, both mine and Melanie's, that we just don't think this fits within the statute. I mean, this is a congressman who's being told, look, lend your voice to another opportunity to help us craft our international policies, our foreign policies. Nobody said, then you must do A, B, and C, no quid pro quo. How could this possibly fit within the statute?
Well, certainly they could have made that offer and said, whether you stay in the House or become a senator, the offer is still good. But that's not what they did. What they did was a quid pro quo. They clearly wanted to offer a position, however large or small, paid or unpaid, in return for his not running for Senate. That was, as Melanie said, they wanted to clear the field. Well, there's a lot of ways you can try to clear the field. There are right ways and wrong ways. One of the wrong ways is to offer a government position of any sort or any inducement. That was what happened. They used President Clinton to do it. Rahm Emanuel apparently is the person it links back to, and ultimately probably to the president. Having said that, we don't want to continue to have this conversation. We think that Admiral Sestak has been honest, if not full in disclosure until now. He has certainly been honest, and he should be allowed to continue with his Senate race uninterrupted. At the same time, this is certainly unethical and unseemly, and maybe it's business as usual according to Melanie, but it's not business as legal in this town unless a legitimate independent, either a U.S. attorney or the FBI, takes a proper look at it, takes testimony behind closed doors. We don't need to hear what the president says in answer, but we do need to have this looked at properly by people who have a vested interest in the truth, not in spin.
Congressman, if you take as factual the statements we've heard from the White House and Congressman Sestak, do you think that this is really the sort of thing the statute should be used to prosecute? I'm being told, I haven't looked at the books myself, I'm being told this statute has never been used at all, let alone a situation like this where you are simply saying to somebody, join us, help us by serving on an advisory board unpaid and stay in the House of Representatives. This is not the quid pro quo political bartering for cash that led to the enactment of these statutes many decades ago. And you have to admit, these are the sorts of conversations that go on all the time within the ambit of a political party trying to put together a slate of candidates. You can stay here, you run for that, your voice can be heard through these multitude of positions. Isn't that what goes on every day? And that is what politics is all about.
You know, the American people voted for change. They voted Republicans out because of people like Duke Cunningham. They voted President Obama in because he promised change, including a more ethical government. So I think the first thing we have to do is say, is business as usual acceptable? Secondly, it's for others to decide whether this fits the statute. It fits the plain English of the statute very well, of both 600 and 595. So I think that's something for the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office to discover, to go through, and to make a decision. But then we go back to much bigger picture. Was this wrongful behavior? The president seems to be saying business as usual is fine. We can do this. Let's remember that even in the House of Representatives, a body that doesn't have a very high regard by the American people, Tom DeLay was admonished for telling a member that if he would, quote, vote for one piece of legislation, Medicare Part D, that Tom DeLay would come out and help raise money for his son who was running to replace him in that seat. He was admonished for that. That isn't even within the four square of the statute, and it was certainly wrong, unethical, and he paid a price for it. So if the House of Representatives' questionable ethics standards, at least at that time, could lead to an admonishment of the leader of the majority, why wouldn't this lead to some sort of reasonable look to see if, in fact, it crossed the line?
Congressman, I didn't hear any quid pro quo, quite frankly, when I heard the recitation of those statements. I simply heard that former President Clinton said to Congressman Sestak, wouldn't you rather stay in the House and serve on this advisory board? He didn't say, and in return for that, we expect you to endorse, we want you to do A, B, and C. It was simply an articulation of, hey, have you thought about this as an alternative career path? Because, quite frankly, he was saying to him, you're going to lose the primary. Now, it turned out to be wrong in that political analysis, but he was saying, isn't this a wiser path for your career? There was no quid pro quo, no money, no quid pro quo, no offer to raise money. So I think that is where there's the fundamental factual distinction here that many people are saying, come on, guys, this is simply not worth pursuing.
Well, it's certainly for independent people to pursue, not for partisans. But the White House, in their own statement, made it very clear that they wanted to clear the field, that this was what they wanted to do, and this was the reason for it. So they're not saying that it was just an idle offer, unrelated. They're saying it was related, that this was the goal. The goal was to offer him something to get out. Now, offering someone a position in an administration of any sort to get out of a race is a square violation of the law. So although the conversation delivered by President Clinton and heard by Joe Sestak now could be open to interpretation and perhaps should be vetted more thoroughly by the FBI, it's pretty clear from the White House's statement that they intended to get him out of the race by offering him a position. And that's a crime, and it's unethical, and it's beneath what President Obama to this day continues to say he was going to change in Washington. I came here for change. I'm one of those people who had a full career before I came here. I'll have a life when I leave here. I came to change this place for the better. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here for a paycheck. I want to see that President Obama succeeds in cleaning up government. I want to see the Mineral Management Service never again ignore or have a cozy relationship with big oil. These are things I want to do. I want a partner to do it with. I want President Obama to be that partner for the next 2.5 years.
Well, Congressman, until you only limited it to 2.5 years, I was ready to say maybe you should join the Democratic Party and come over that articulation of change that you were speaking about was right on the money, especially when it comes to MMS.
Obviously, he doesn't yet have my vote for re-election. He's a little ways from it.
No quid pro quo there, so we're being right up front about this. But Congressman, excuse me, thank you for joining us. Up next here on the Dylan Ratigan Show, the president making a rare move this Memorial.